What is up? I am Jake, and this is Totally Flow, a quest about connecting the dots between curiosity, inspiration, creativity, and finding flow. This week, I had the privilege and joy of chatting with my very first creator of the week, my friend Kaylee Walters. She is a truly multi-dimensional artist. She is a recipe developer, food photographer, writer, and so much more. Whew, I just had a blast talking with Kaylee. We had the most fun time just talking inspiration. We talked about citrus, Frank Sinatra, our favorite colors. Kaylee is somebody who provides so much warmth, so much positive energy, and she's just a really fun conversationalist. So I think without further ado, I am going to let past Jake take it away. Kaylee, thank you so much for coming on the show. And for those of you watching or listening, I recommend kicking off your shoes and diving in because we are flowing. Welcome back to the show. For those of you listening, for those of you watching, you are here in this now, in this space with me. You are flowing in the present moment, and we are also in the presence of our very first guest of Totally Flow, Miss Kaylee Walters, aka Kaylee in the Kitchen on Instagram, a truly multi-dimensional creator, somebody who is a photographer, chef, writer, somebody who inspires me so much. Kaylee, say what up. How are you doing on this sunny winter morning?
I am so honored to be here, first of all. I'm very grateful to be the first guest. I feel like that's the coolest thing. I'm doing great. The weather's great, sunny, a little chilly.
The Santa Anas are blowing.
Anything could happen.
Anything can happen. Oh my gosh. So before I hop into, I guess like my perspective on your creativity, how would you describe yourself as a creator? Like, would you say like, I'm a photographer, I'm a writer? Do you think you fit into a certain box when it comes to creativity? What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely not. It's honestly a joke to me when people ask me what I do for work, because I feel like there are so many things that I do that classify as my job or as my creative outlets that it's hard for me to narrow in on one sort of thing. And so it's been a road of a lot of research and trying to figure that out. And I've come to realize that it's easier to just say that I work in food journalism because journalism could classify as
writing, photos, the works.
It hits everything. So if I just say I'm in food journalism, and then that kind of branches into people asking like, oh, what do you mean by that? And then I can go into whatever.
Yeah, you can kind of like test the waters, like how much do they actually want to know?
Exactly.
Or do they only get my, quick answer?
Right. Yeah, like, do you care? Do you want me to explain? Because I'm giving you an umbrella. Like, do you want to stand under it actually? Or are you good with that answer? And so food journalism is what I'd say. But it's hard to put myself into a category other than that,
Yes.
I feel like the broadness is good for me.
Yes. Just a truly multi-dimensional creator. So this is episode 1 episode 2, first time we have a guest. And this is the first installment of a segment that I want to bring forward that I'm calling Big Ups. Big Ups. All right. So big ups to you, Kaylee Walters. You are here today in this room with me because you are somebody that truly inspires me creatively. Your page on Instagram, Kaylee in the Kitchen, is something to me that serves as a true like well of creative nourishment, whether it be food, recipes, culinary conversations. At large, it just serves as like a constant reminder to me to find joy in the present, to embrace slowness and to truly try to live a simple life. So
Okay, stop right there, please.
Okay.
That means so much to me, honestly, because that is one of the biggest things that I really hope that someone would get, even just from knowing me or following me on Instagram or that sort of thing, is I have this intense passion for making mundane things very special. And so cooking dinner, making coffee in the morning, going for a walk, that sort of thing, I feel like there's so much goodness in the simple things of life. And so the fact that you can recognize that, and that you even say in your own life that that's something that you're inspired to want more of and to feel more of the goodness that comes with living slowly, that means worlds to me.
It
so
truly
thank you so much.
does. It comes across in like everything that you do create. And I just feel so stoked to have you here, because I think that like in this creation of Totally Flow, I want to create like a Rolodex of creators that people can look to really like feel something, to recenter themselves, and to not just get a little burst of dopamine, but to really like sit in it, to be introspective, and to kind of like question their own journey of life. And your content does that. So big ups to you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. Stoked
Yes!
to be here.
Yes! Okay, so just before, before we really get into it, I want to ask, how does like the word flow play into your life? No, you don't necessarily need to give me like, you don't need to get that deep with it. Get it as much as you want. What's flow to you? How do you access flow? How do you return to flow? Be it creative flow or just flow in life?
I think personally, being someone who is interestingly in a position of liking balance between structure and flexibility, I think that the way that I find myself doing the best in my creative process is by going with what feels good. So like what my gut is telling me is good, with what is catching my eye a specific way. Because I feel like when I'm making a recipe, when I'm taking photos, when I'm writing something, it changes all the time. Like it's always a little bit different in some way, whether it's the way that I prefer to edit a photo or the way that I would typically do a recipe, like that sort of thing. I think using what I know as my basis, like my foundation of how I go about my process, but then doing it in a way where I can be flexible in the way that feels the best. I think that's how
let the day kind of like affect the art in the moment.
Right. And that changes for me, especially with seasons. So with making recipes or whatever it may be, with taking photos, a lot of it changes for me with what sorts of things are in season food wise, or how lighting is, like how the color green is catching my eye in the winter versus the summer, like that sort of thing. I think that my creative I guess like inspiration is constantly changing with the way that life is going outside of me. And so, yeah, definitely however it's feeling the best in that day, in that moment is how it goes.
I was like, before you were coming today, I was kind of like scoping your Instagram, just getting like a refresh. And a quote that definitely stood out to me on that about the locality of the food is like, when you're truly eating locally, it's like such a way to find joy in being in your town, like being in the space that you're at. Because when you're eating the apple on the tree, from your small town, that's like a specific moment you can only have here, right? You can't have that apple from that tree in another state.
Right. That's conveniently something that I think has been inspiring me a lot, especially lately. It's citrus season, for those who don't know.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure you do, because I've seen you post about it. But so my grandma has an orange tree, a navel orange tree in her backyard, and it's popping off right now. And so there's
popping and dropping.
Absolutely. Oranges everywhere, all over the backyard. And so she's constantly bagging things and giving them to the neighbors and stuff. And I'm texting her on a daily basis, being like, please, if you have an extra bag, save it for me. And I continuously will go over there and get oranges after oranges, because That's something that's really special to be able to eat fruit from a place that is grown, especially in the home of someone who I love so much.
You're right.
Like it's a special thing that you don't get when you're just going and buying something from the store that's not local. Obviously I still do that. It's totally human to go to a grocery store, but there is something really special about locality and seasonality that I think if you get the opportunity to take advantage of, you definitely should.
Well, I have some lemons growing in my front yard that you're going home with.
I
'cause
hope
it's citrus
so.
season. And like, just because before we started recording, we're talking about synchronicity, all of the beauty of life itself. And I was just saying that I love to make Spotify playlists. My most recent Spotify playlist is called Citrus Season.
I love that. I'm going to look it up.
God,
Going to listen to it.
Maybe
on
we'll
the way
make it a
home.
collaborative playlist. Maybe you could add
We
something
probably
to it.
should.
Yeah, let's do
The
it.
people would love it.
Why not? Well, I forgot to tell you, okay? We're actually in water right now. I don't know if you could feel it, but we're actually flowing down a river of life. And we got a squad of viewers, of listeners, and we're just kind of like chilling in this body of water right now. We're looking for inspiration. So I know that you came to the table today with a couple vectors of inspiration that are piquing your interest right here, right now, today. So let's break it down. What's your number one? What's on the top of mind?
The top of mind, first of all, totally feel the water situation.
Oh, we're flowing
super hard right now. It's the fruit tree thing for me right now. I think that every year as citrus season comes around, it's so funny to me that something so simple just absolutely sparks something in my brain, but it does it. That's something that really does it for me. I go for a walk every morning, and I pass by the same house that has a gigantic tangerine tree in the front yard, and I see the same old man out there every morning. He's tending to his garden.
You snag one or no?
No, but listen to this. I'm convinced that this man sees me staring at this tree every morning. I say good morning to him. He says good morning to me. We've got this sort of thing going on where it's like he knows I'm a neighbor. I obviously know he's a neighbor because he's at his house. And I think he recognized the fact that I stare at his citrus tree all the time. And one morning, this was a couple of days ago, I see wedged in his bush a little ceramic plate with a bunch of citrus on it.
Whoa.
That has never once been there, and I've
Whoa.
lived there for over a year, and I just felt like it was such a special thing. You know, you walk by and you see cardboard boxes on the street that's like free grapefruit, yada yada yada.
I saw one a couple days ago.
Yeah, and that's the best. I will take grapefruit
Organic
from
limes.
I saw that special thing. Would make for such a great drink. I feel like those. It's just, that's such an act of generosity, first of all, for a neighbor to put out something like, I have too much of this and I want other people to try it. I know it's good. My family enjoys them. Here, please take our extras. And it just felt like such a special thing that I walked by and I just saw like wedged in the bush even.
So
like,
you took some, obviously?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Have you seen him since?
No, I haven't. I have not seen him since, which is actually crazy because I usually see him every single morning. But I don't know. It was
Maybe
just
he's
something...
tired. Maybe he wakes up before the sunrise to pick the oranges for you.
Maybe, honestly. I should probably thank him next time I see him because I know that he's working just for me.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that.
But that's definitely one of them. I think the fruit tree thing, the idea of being super generous, same thing with my grandma. Like, she gave a huge bag of oranges to the mailman the other day, and that's just so cute, first of all. But yeah, the idea of just sharing something that's in season because it makes you happy with someone else, that's really inspiring to me.
I love that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Like, when I think of orange, when I think of lemon, when I think of lime, it really gives me summery vibes.
Yeah.
Like, I think of myself chilling on the beach, sipping a beer with lime, or going to the farmer's market and getting like one of those tiny containers of fresh squeezed orange juice.
Right.
But it's kind of interesting that the citrus season is actually the opposite of summer.
Yeah.
So like the kind of, does that make sense to you?
No, yeah, for sure. I think that it's honestly kind of cool that it seems reversed like that, because I know a lot of people go through this dip, whether it's in creativity or just in overall happiness through the gray seasons and stuff. And so I think that something so bright like citrus being in season and being very present in, luckily, some restaurants, bakeries, like places with drinks, they get very seasonal with things. I think that it's a good way to reintroduce that like brightness, that summeriness into your winter when it's a little cold and gray.
I think we're onto something.
I think so
kind
too.
Of profound.
Honestly.
Wow. Yeah, like what's something that is in season in the summertime? I'm having a hard time thinking of that. Like
berry season's big in summer.
Watermelon.
Melons are huge in the summer. Things like zucchini are in season in summer. Yellow squash.
See, now that's interesting. Zucchini to me feels like a fall vegetable.
Right, but it's not. I mean, they're definitely in California. We have longer seasons of things because we tend to be a warm state, and so our agricultural seasons tend to be longer than other places because we just have the ability to do it like geographically. If you go up north to Washington, it could be March, April, and you'll still be having things like sweet potatoes, like Brussels sprouts, things that are typically more of a wintry sort of harvest thing being like in your markets and stuff, but they won't have berries for a while still because it's super cold up there. So yeah.
Blueberries have tasted kind of weird lately. I don't know if you've noticed that.
I haven't honestly eaten that many lately, but
it makes total sense. It's out of season.
Yeah.
Because I went to the market, got blueberries, and was tasting them, and they taste straight up bad. Like they don't taste like blueberries. They taste kind of funky.
Right. And realistically, it's because they're not in season. The ability to grow things, and sometimes even like fruit, I don't know like where you got stuff from, but a lot of times it may be imported from someplace or it's grown in a place where they just have the ability to grow it. But a thing with flavor and with seasonality is a lot has to do with the soil. And so if the soil is healthy, then it's going to grow the thing that's supposed to be growing in that season well. And so that's why if you've eaten watermelon in the summer compared to in the winter, the watermelon in the summer is just going to go hard compared to in the winter because the flavors are better, and that's because it's supposed to be grown then, and the soil it knows, like it's reacting with the seeds in the way that it's supposed to. And so seasonality is big with fruits.
That like I was talking to my mom about this, but like let's say you have a watermelon seed. You're eating watermelon, it has the one seed, you plant that seed. The seed of the watermelon has the DNA, has the information of like what watermelon is.
Right.
Like it's in this little tiny morsel, this one seed has so much data to like just bloom into this big thing. It's like, I don't know. It's something I don't think about that often, but when I do, I'm like, oh my gosh, seeds are wise. Seeds are like...
Honestly, that's actually a really cool way to look at it. I was having a conversation with one of my best friends yesterday about how her cousin and her husband are going off grid. They want to live on a fully sustainable or self-sustainable property where
I love that.
Yeah, they're growing all their own food, doing all their own
soil.
Stuff. Literally. And the thought came into my brain where I was just thinking like, okay, I know these people are vegan because she just told me this, so like they don't have to worry about the livestock thing, because obviously you can have a cow, but then how long is that cow going to feed you?
Right.
And how much room do you have to have actual animal products and things like that? But then I was thinking like, okay, beans. Let's think about growing beans. And then I was like, if you wanted to have like a can's worth of garbanzo beans, how many beans you got to grow?
Yeah,
like
that's a lot of square footage of beans.
Yeah, how much of your land is like being taken up by things that are more hardy and sustaining?
On bushes?
I honestly couldn't answer that.
Right here, we're going to put a picture of a garbanzo bean plant so that we can all learn at one time.
Maybe.
Gosh,
man.
I love this podcast already.
Very teaching. I need to look back at this and see or research on my own.
It's all about answering questions that we didn't know we needed the answers to.
I know. And honestly, I feel a little bit ashamed of the fact that I don't know it. But it is that sort of thing of just thinking like, wow, the fact that you could, because humans at one point did, just fully survive off of this basic like aspect of growing food from a seed or from animals or whatever it is. There's like in the very like rudimentary level of being human, it's just so simple, but the earth knows how to do it.
Yes.
And we're just, if we know how to, I guess, nurture land well and just live well and embrace, I guess, what the earth is giving us.
Embrace
it's
the
super
flow
cool.
of nature.
Yeah. Like, in going with the seasons, it's just so grounding. And I feel like that's why people who do live very seasonally, and it might be easier in other places where you don't have a choice but to go with the seasons. Like, we in California have access to so many things because
anything can be imported.
Anything can be imported. We have bananas and we shouldn't have bananas, but praise God that we got bananas because they're great.
I eat at least like one banana a day, maybe sometimes 1.5.
Maybe 1.5 on a good day. But like that sort of thing is we're super lucky to have anything we want all the time. But there are other places that don't have that. And so I feel personally, at least, and I know with other people, it's really grounding to live more seasonally and with what the earth is telling you to do.
Wow. I love it. Amazing. Have you ever done grounding, like, I guess I don't know that much about it, but the concept of like being barefoot on the actual earth, that's like also called grounding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, totally. Especially like after a flight or something.
Yes.
Sitting in a car for a long time. I think that's a lot of people don't understand that they're actually reaching for that practice, or because I guess I would call it a practice that some people really drive home as being very valuable.
Yeah, I don't think I do it consciously, but I definitely do it unconsciously, where I may just have the desire on any given day to like go on a barefoot walk.
Right.
Or something.
Right. Or it's like when you take your shoes off when you get to the beach, right when you hit the sand.
Oh yeah.
That sort of thing. And the aspect of the sand hitting your feet is just so comforting to you. Or you just have this drive to like put your feet in the ocean. Or after a long car ride, you're like, I want to breathe the fresh air. I want to like not have this filtered air system just going into my lungs.
Yes.
I want to be outside. I want to feel the sun.
Lay in like a grass field and just breathe in.
Yeah, yeah. I think that it's something that actually does play into our humanistic senses. That
we should do some grounding
beneficial.
after this.
I'm down.
Let's
put
do
our
it.
feet in
I got grass
on the
outside.
earth.
Let's do it.
Perfect.
Okay, so what's inspiration number 2? I love citrus trees. I love grounding. I love all of our nature talk. I'm in it.
Me too, honestly. Which is probably why I just babbled on so much about it. Colors. I love colors.
Aw.
Clearly you love colors too, but
Yes.
I think a way that it
Pink,
inspires me. I know.
Orange or peach.
I wish that this captured everything in this room because it's so there's so much life in it. So much color, and it feels very inspiring to be in here. I think brightness is a good thing. But yeah, colors is something that inspires me a lot, especially with photography. I like the way that light, especially natural light, hits colors, creates shadows in different ways. Something that have you seen that trend on TikTok that is about core memories?
No.
Okay, so there's I guess this feature on TikTok where you can create a sound that's echoed, and so it feels like you're watching somebody's memory. And it sounds like that. It sounds like you're in this nostalgic moment. And something for me that feels like a core memory is it happened most recently when I was driving home from the Central Coast. But I feel like this happens often too, even when I'm just driving through, like driving down Irvine or something, or walking through Back Bay. When the sun hits trees or grass or some sort of hilly green in a specific way, and it doesn't just look like a straight on color. There's hues, and you see all the different hues of the same tree.
Gradients of different, like, especially like golden hour.
Yeah, yeah. The way that light hits colors is it does something to my brain, and like it just turns it makes my head spin in such a good way. And so I think that with food photography especially, that's a really fun thing to play with. And I don't know, like I can make a yogurt bowl, and if I am sitting by the window in the right way and it's hitting that bowl so well, it makes me feel so alive. And that sounds so silly.
I honestly
but
hear you.
It's so inspiring to me.
Wow. Yeah, like I just based on my memory of your pictures and whatnot, I can visualize like a photo you took of strawberries,
Mm.
and you would think strawberries are simply red. They're bright, they're saturated, like it's a bright, fresh looking berry.
Right.
But I think the photo that I'm thinking of, you have it's kind of like it's almost like a moody picture of strawberries that feels like very grounding, very fall esque.
Right, right.
You know the photo I'm talking about?
For sure I do. That's one of my favorite photos that I've taken. And I think the reason why I like that picture so much is because, well, I guess with photography in general, it's cool to let someone in on what you're seeing. And I think that that basket of berries actually came from a farm called Tutti Frutti. And when I remember holding that basket of strawberries, and I was just so in awe at the color of it.
These are the best looking berries I've ever seen in my life.
No, seriously, like it did something to my eye, the way that the colors looked. And I think that just the fact that I could show that, like I could capture that in a way where other people would see the reds the way that I was seeing the reds, and that I could save that moment so that we can look back on it months later and be like, wow, look at those strawberries. They look pretty good. They probably tasted good when they were still there. That's pretty cool. But
wow. I love that. I love your sharing of colors. When I'm thinking about flow, when I'm thinking about this podcast at large and just like being in the flow of life, one of the things that I always am thinking about reverting back to is driving down PCH after surfing at sunset and having that, like the golden light peer through my windows that aren't tinted. I just have like my 2007 Passat, best car of all time.
Passat?
Yeah, it's the best car.
I'm sure.
But
I don't doubt you.
Without the tint, the light just like peers through every direction.
Right.
And especially at golden hour, I'm going down PCH. My surf fin is transparent, but it has like a green tint.
Okay.
So the light will hit through the surf fin. Going in my car, I have a pair of pink acetate glasses that also hang in my car.
Yeah.
So light's going through that. And
So
that
sick.
moment with all those colors, listening to music, jamming, windows down, that's like my moment of flow. And color is like a foundational part of really being aware of every part of that present moment.
Absolutely. Presence is like that's the utmost word that I would use to describe that moment that you have. And I live in moments like that so deeply. I think that that's what makes life more enjoyable for me, is things like that you're just like, this looks so nice. This makes me feel so good sitting here and being able to see this. And I think that's special because a lot of people don't recognize things like that. They don't recognize moments that, like, maybe they see that they feel good. They feel that, they understand that it's a good moment for them, but they don't know why. And I think that being able to take in your surroundings and be super grateful for it and be like, wow, this is something that I want to remember. I want to know how the sun is hitting my surf fin, how it's hitting this pink glass. I want to be able to think of this moment again and to be able to see it in my brain. I think that that's what fills life up even further, closer to the brim.
Yes.
That it's such a special thing to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's like there's one level, of course, of being present, of being aware, but then there's another level of like being aware of the awareness.
Yeah.
It's like 2 degrees separated.
Yeah,
it's like when you can actually look at yourself outside of the situation and be like, oh my gosh, this little moment, this is like divine.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's something that I think I'm always striving to do, is like be able to access that sort of awareness, that sort of like step back and look at myself in the moment. That's something that I think I'm always striving to do.
Definitely.
But it's really hard sometimes.
For sure. Can I flow really quick?
Yeah, flow.
My third piece of inspiration is creating moments like that. I think that for me, especially like on Instagram, I've gone through a bit of a change with what I'm posting on my own Instagram page that's not work related. So instead of just strictly sharing photos of food or of recipes or whatever it may be, there is something deeper in that specific, or behind that specific recipe or behind that meal, that made me love it so much. And so I like to be able to create moments for my own life, for my own memory that I can look back on. But then I also like sharing them because I think that in a good way, social media helps to serve as this source of inspiration for a lot of people. And I want other people to realize that there can be so much goodness in something so simple. So cooking dinner, one of my favorite things is to cook dinner with my friends, my loved ones, and in a way where it's one of those things of like, I'm sitting there and I'm whatever, caramelizing onions or something. And then I can out of body just step back and think like, wow, this candle, the way that it's flickering and I'm seeing it on the wall right now, I'm hearing the record scratch in the background. I'm like listening to my friends laugh about something.
Like all the senses at once.
Yeah.
Listening, smell, taste, all that kind of stuff.
Right. And just like having this moment that it's just making me overflow, like to the brim of doing something I'm making dinner. I'm making a soup, something that's so simple, but everything around it.
Chicken soup.
Absolutely. And it's one of the best. You should make it. I love things like that. I like when people can enjoy simple things. And I think a lot of it is involved in creating a moment. So like having an organized space, like my living room being cleaned, my kitchen being cleaned, being in there cooking, just like having my headspace be fully in what I'm doing. And then having other people enjoy it with me is so special. Or even if I'm by myself in the morning, like listening to a podcast or to music, a specific song, making coffee in the morning, like having a candle lit and just being fully aware of what I'm currently immersed in. It makes me so much more grateful for my life.
Yes.
And it's the act of it is drinking coffee. If you're thinking about it, the act of it is listening to a song or something. And it's even more special when I recognize how good that moment was or is when I'm in it, you know?
Yes. And I think like that everybody is a creator. I think that's like a core pillar of my life belief system. And those moments that you're curating, you're basically like creating a vibe for you to experience, for your friends to experience.
Right.
I think those are things that people all over the world do like almost every day.
Right.
We take actions to curate our own environments, our own energies, and that action of like picking and choosing what you like and don't like, that is creativity.
Right, for sure. Yeah. And just because it's not necessarily captured on photo or video or shared on social media doesn't mean that it's not valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I think just the idea of creating a life that feels fulfilling and feels like it's full and it's good, and no matter how simple, how baseline it is, I think that's it's definitely a level of creativity that makes life feel even better. And I think that it's worth it to put the extra seconds into making a moment even better.
Yes.
Or like when you're with your friends, you're just like, guys, can you believe that we're doing this right now? Can you believe that we're like, this is our drive home from surfing right now, and this is what we're looking at? Like those sorts of things.
It's like taking the extra moment to like put on the perfect playlist rather than putting on like your random,
right, the go-to
all like songs.
Right.
You want to have like the perfect playlist that kind of matches the energy.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe you're having a holiday party. Maybe you're listening to some jazz, instead of just listening to like the top 100 hits.
Yeah, definitely. I like that you are so into curated playlists too, because if you scrolled through my Spotify, I have so many, but it's because there's so many things they're so niche, so specific, but I'm like, these are the songs that I would listen to driving home from Yosemite, so I have to have a playlist for this.
You best believe Ben Howard's on there. Yeah. Bon Iver is on there.
For sure.
Who else?
Gosh, thinking about it, Gregory Alan Isakov, definitely on there. Ray LaMontagne is on there. I don't know. Just like there's so many playlists that I have that they feel right. Like driving through the canyons of the Central Coast, you gotta have good things. Like I want to listen to the Teskey Brothers when I'm driving through there. Like Lumineers,
That's how
it makes moments better.
I love that certain places and certain drives have certain songs that feel right.
Right.
like I'm trying to think. Freshman year of college, I was at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo,
Right.
and during that season of life, I was super into Ben Howard.
Mm-hmm.
And when I listen to Ben Howard, it like takes me back
Yeah.
to driving on the 101, because in SLO, like the only way to get anywhere is by the 101.
Yeah.
And like having the green pastures all around, and I'm just like in this moody boy energy. I'm listening to Ben Howard.
The fog on all the green.
Oh yeah, and I'm just like maybe I'm singing at the top of my lungs.
Yeah.
You know, what's that song, Promise or something?
Oh, absolutely. I did a dance to that in high school, and it takes me
Really?
back to like those days when it was maybe gray outside and the sunset's like coming through the windows at the top of the dance room. Like, I love that songs can do that. They can take you back to something so special.
Yeah, like a perfect example. That song to me has a totally different thing
Right?
than you.
Yeah.
If I was to randomly put that on a playlist to, you know, us walking in to record and we're playing that,
Yeah.
I'm getting a different experience than you are.
Yeah. That's so interesting to think about, because everyone obviously goes through life in such a different way, but I think the fact that we can both relish in something, the same thing, so differently, so
Mhm.
uniquely, is really cool.
Do you have a song of the moment that is kind of like you think you're going to look back on this chapter of time, February 2022, and like this song is going to represent this time, this chapter?
My gosh. I feel like,
Or a genre? I mean, no rules.
so I listen to records a lot. I have I recently got a bunch of
Oh, right here.
new
What do we got?
Oh my gosh, wait, that's sick.
Patterns and Sound. This was like a $1 record from
Yeah.
thrift store.
I mean, it looks cool. Fits. I recently got a bunch of records that were my great grandma's,
Oh,
and she has a bunch of Glenn Miller from performing in different army camps and stuff, and some of them are from like literally the 1930s.
Wow.
And they are so crackly, and like the sounds of those records
like
are
the
so
hiss.
special
It's
to
like
me. Yeah. There's just something in them that make me feel like I'm in a movie, because that's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I listen to those a lot when I'm cooking lately, or in the morning when I'm sitting on my couch reading. I have them in the background because a lot of them they're not lyricized, so they don't have words over them. It's just instrumental. And those sounds, I think, are something that are characterizing a lot of what I feel like is like the season of life I'm in right now. I'm getting back to a lot of my roots of being very simple, being very slow, and like embracing very mundane, in a sense, mundane things.
Yeah, like the spaces in between.
Right, definitely. I think enjoying those moments really well. To me, that sounds like having Glenn Miller on right now. And I never listened to Glenn Miller before, but my dad gave me a huge...
I don't even know Glenn Miller. I'm so excited to listen to some after this.
Yeah, I'm sure they're on Spotify. Like, you should
We'll
try to
play it
find...
as we're grounding outside.
Yes, that would be so nice. I would say that was it. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a specific song, but more so him as an artist and what that orchestra does for me. It's jazzy, but it's orchestral. It's something that feels like right now to me.
Great. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the thing that I want this podcast to be filled with, is those little minute details of everybody's life.
Right.
That hopefully like the listener after this turns off this podcast and decides to Google who's Glenn Miller.
Yeah.
Like, because whenever I watch interviews or talk shows or podcasts with anybody, I am the one who is like almost making notes in my notes app.
Same, yeah.
Of the things that they're talking about.
Right.
So then after the fact, I'll go and I'll research it.
Yeah.
Because then you're kind of like exploring, filling your world with new ideas and new music.
Yeah. Or books. I get a lot of book recommendations from hearing people talk about them. Because I think in the way that a lot of what this podcast is going to be is talking about creative inspiration, I think that being introduced to something by hearing someone else being inspired by it,
yes,
I think that just immediately makes me respect it or be interested in it so much
you're
more.
so right.
Like,
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Which is, it's cool. Like, if someone's talking to me about a book that they read that they really were attached to, there's immediately more interest in my brain
Right.
to pick that book up and give it a shot. And so go listen to Glenn Miller because he's worth your time.
Oh my gosh, you're so true. You're so right. Like when somebody loves something wholeheartedly, you can't look at it with like a half-opened eye. You know?
Yeah,
you have,
for sure.
You're when somebody's telling you how much they love something, you're gonna be listening, and it's like you're gonna take action to go pursue that or explore it.
Yeah, there's like, I think maybe it's a level of empathy or like interest in understanding why this means so much to somebody else. Like there's just more value in it, I think, and maybe it's a level of like human connection that makes your brain do that. But I think it's a cool way to be introduced to different things.
Wow, I love it. Oh my gosh. Wow. Whew. I love this podcast so much. It's
I know, so fun.
So legit. Okay. Well, thank you so much for providing your inspirations. I'm feeling boosted with stoke. I'm feeling in the flow. I'm feeling hungry for a orange.
Same.
Real
Often.
quick, wait, do you like oranges, tangerines, tangelos? What's like the OG
So many
number
options.
one orange?
In my brain?
Yeah.
Let's see. So personally, I would go for a navel orange, which is honestly the most classic, the most basic.
You like to slice it as opposed to peeling it?
No, I peel it all the time. But I think a close second, and the main reason why I'm super biased to navel oranges is because if I can get an orange from my grandma's tree, back to the locality thing,
Yes.
it's better than anything, and it's free. It's from my grandma's garden.
Your grandma's soil.
Right.
She
nurtured
sowed the
that thing.
seed.
She sowed the seed. She nurtured that for me to enjoy in that moment. I think a navel orange is my go-to. But also a clementine. A good old clementine.
I love clementines.
They peel so much easier than an orange does.
Yeah, I like when an orange or a clementine, or I don't know what you
One
call
peel?
it, where it has. I try.
Okay.
But I like where it has a lot of air in the peel.
Right.
I don't know what you'd call that.
I don't know either, but it makes it really easy to put your like
Yeah.
to crack the
And it's
peel.
like when it's like cut out like a balloon when you pop it open.
Yeah.
You're like,
right.
fresh.
All the scents come out, and it's easy to detach from the peel and eat.
Yes.
Which with a navel orange, it's like it's a battle, but
It's a battle.
it's definitely, and your fingers are gonna be stained with orange forever. But
Yeah.
during citrus season, I'll take that L.
Yeah, maybe
Because maybe it's actually a win that I'm eating so much citrus.
Yeah, maybe we got to start painting our nails orange during
Right.
citrus season
Right.
to like, I don't know, I guess like match the color of the.
Right. And
Whatever.
also to just remember
Yes.
how nice colors are.
Yes. Okay, so let me check this real quick. Cruising, 0 technical difficulties. This is absolutely amazing.
That's fantastic.
So nearing the end of the show, I want to go through what some would call rapid fire questions so that the audience can know you a little bit more. Hopefully they already followed you on Instagram at Kaylee in the Kitchen, Kailee.
Wow.
INTHEKITCHEN.
The fact that you did that so fast, I would have butchered it.
I tried in the shower today. I was like,
Did you
I was like
really?
trying to repeat it.
That's impressive. I respect that.
Yeah, so my version of rapid fire questions we're calling totally cues. Okay?
Okay. Totally
And
pleased.
rather than just being a whole bunch of random questions, they naturally flow into each other.
Right.
Because
It makes sense.
what are we doing here?
Exactly.
right?
You got to be flowing.
We gotta be flowing. So, right off the dome, question number 1. What's your favorite color combination? 2 colors together right here, right now.
Green and orange. Sounds strange.
Whoa.
If you want to know why, and this is going to make sense, because I like looking at orange trees.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Green and orange. And they've been my favorite colors forever, so I feel like just very...
Very Nickelodeon of you.
honestly.
Now, very interesting that you'd mention the color green, because you know what is also green? Herbs. Name your top 3 herbs, and you can only have those 3 for the rest of your life. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
What are they?
Dill.
Number 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dill, rosemary, chives.
Whoa.
Yeah.
See ya cilantro, see ya basil.
Okay, I respect them. I love them, but on a day-to-day basis, I have those herbs in my fridge at all times.
Wow.
Or even at yeah, like my dad has rosemary in his garden, so I use that.
I love that
Those
answer.
are my, yeah, they're a little more obscure.
Dill
Not
number
everyone
one.
uses them. Dill number one. I put dill on everything. Underrated, not just dill pickles, guys. Dill on yogurt. It's so fresh. It's so bright. It's such a good flavor.
Now that's leading into our next thought. Would you rather never have dill again for the rest of your life, or never be able to travel by plane for the next 5 years?
My gosh, take the dill.
You take the dill?
Take the dill. Because I still get rosemary and chives.
Wait, oh, you're saying X the dill.
X the dill.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want the dill.
Okay.
Because I could fly by plane to a place where they're using chives so much better than, like, it would make me so much happier than dill would make me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'd so prefer to take a plane than to eat dill.
Yeah, you're also a world traveler. We kind of forgot to touch on that point, but
I do love globetrotting.
yes, inspiring.
Very grateful for those opportunities.
So, that's a bummer that dill is out of your life. But
Right.
I do have good news for you. You just won an all expenses paid vacation to anywhere in the world via plane.
Right.
Where are you going right now?
Where am I going right now? Oh gosh. See, rapid fire hits me hard. Because I can't answer anything rapid. I guess I'll go to the countryside of France. Yeah, like southern France. I'd be down. I'm down for everywhere, but I would say that is a place that I would really like to go to.
Coastal vibes?
Yeah, I'd be down. Take me to Nice. Sure.
Twist
my arm.
I hear coastal southern France has nice coffee. What's your coffee order?
My coffee order. See, so I actually wasn't a coffee person until I was recently in Europe, and I became an everyday coffee drinker. And so my actual what I'm enjoying a lot right now is a flat white.
Alt milk?
Yeah, alt milk. I do almond milk. I don't really have a reason why I choose almond over oat, because I know some people are very strong in their oat milk opinions because they think it's better than almond, but I always just order almond. I think that flat whites or cappuccinos, which is very close, the only thing that's different is the way the milk is steamed, which I've learned because my roommates are baristas. I think it highlights the flavor of the coffee, the beans in a really good way, whereas lattes tend to just be overpowered with milk.
Yes.
I have enjoyed flat whites quite a bit.
That's amazing, because this flat white that you're drinking in southern France happens to be a magical coffee.
Right.
It has
I would expect it to be.
Yeah, it is. It actually has the powers to summon your dream dinner guest, dead or alive, to kick it with you tonight.
Interesting.
Who is that dream dinner guest?
I'm so excited to be sitting at a table with Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, I need to know
Big
everything.
blue eyes.
Yep, old blue eyes. I gotta sit with him and I gotta hear about the mob. I need to know.
Whoa.
And I would like to hear more about his songwriting. Jazz is it's a music genre that is very, I would again say grounding for me. It's something that makes me feel very alive and also very connected to my family. My grandma is a huge Frank Sinatra person. My great grandma was huge. And so a lot of the records that I have that I've inherited from them are Sinatra. I grew up listening to him. And I think that it would be really cool. I love to tell people that I'm grateful for them. I think it'd be really cool to look Frank Sinatra in the eyes and tell him how grateful I am for his music and for the stories that have come from listening to his music.
I think he'd be very thankful for your gratitude.
I would hope so.
My
Gratitude
favorite
all around.
My favorite Frank Sinatra song is called Sunshine Cake.
Yeah.
You know that song?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I think when I think of Sunshine Cake, I think of orange cake, but I don't know.
Well, it makes sense because oranges feel like summer even though they're winter.
You're right. So, okay, you choose Frank Sinatra.
Right.
That's amazing. But you actually are the one who's going to cook him dinner. So
Right.
snap our fingers. We're back. You're at your apartment
Okay.
right now.
Sounds great.
How does your dream kitchen differ from your current kitchen? Like, what do you think someday you dream to have your kitchen feel like, look like? Are there any unique styles, aesthetics, appliances that you're dreaming of?
The biggest thing is it's not even necessarily a kitchen thing. I think it's just a space thing in general. I want more light. My apartment is
Take better photos.
yeah. Oh man, that's so hard. I'll make a great dinner and then it's pitch black practically. So I can't take a picture of it. But my apartment has the most beautiful, huge green tree right in front of it. And so I get to stare at that all day and I get to see the sun through that in my apartment. But it just makes everything so much darker. And so I think having more light would be really cool. I've always wanted a window right above the kitchen sink that looks out to something beautiful.
Yes,
My
I love that.
Pinterest is full of Italian windows. And so natural light is big. I would like also physically more space because my best friend, who's also my roommate, and we host a lot of dinner parties. And if you saw us before those dinner parties got poppin' and people were sitting at the table, it is comical to see the amount of sheet trays that are sitting on things that they should not be sitting on, just making use of all of like
every square inch.
Yeah, every square inch of everything. There's half cut lemons and onions that are sitting on things that maybe we'll forget about later, like because there's food everywhere. And I think it's funny. It's one of those things that one day we'll look back on and be like, man, remember when we were doing that in that 6-inch kitchen? So more space, more light. But yeah, I'm definitely making the most of what I've got right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, before you start cooking, you got to go get an outfit on for Frankie boy.
Right.
So what is your favorite article of clothing that you have at this moment? How do you feel like that clothing expresses your personal style?
Geez. I would say the thing that I put on the most often, and I would argue that it's a clothing style. They're my shoes. I have a pair of, I think they're...
I love these clogs that you're rocking right now.
Thanks. They're actually, my best friend didn't want them anymore and she gave them to me. And I wear them every single day. They're so comfortable. Yeah, a pair of my Docs. They're brown. I think they're the 1461s, but they might be something else. I don't know. It's just like...
They have laces or are they the slip-on?
They're laced, yeah. They're like a classic shoe. I wear them every single day when I go someplace. They feel very me. My mom's very, very punk. She's very into black. She had bright red hair when I was growing up. Like, she loves like Fleetwood Mac and Harley Davidsons, and she's so herself in that way, and I love her so much for that. She introduced me to the longevity of a shoe like a Doc Marten when I was younger, and that shoe has, every time I wear them, I feel really connected to her. My mom lives like 3 hours away, and I don't get to see her or talk to her all the time, and so I love wearing those because I feel like I'm connected to her in some way, and I think that they've definitely become something that people, like my friends, associate me with. If I'm like, oh, I don't know what to wear, and my friends are helping me choose an outfit, they'll be like, okay, so with these shoes, and it's always my Docs, and I have, like, just like everyone, I have too many shoes, but I kind
of love that. It's like you're I like to think of style as like movie characters a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time in movies, like the main character might wear the same pair of shoes or something, or the same jacket or the same hat.
Right.
So like the shoes are kind of like your motif.
Yeah.
The thing that makes you depending on how the outfit changes.
Right. It's like that's my piece, if anything.
Yes.
Everything else can change, but if I have my shoes, it ties it all back to me.
I dig that.
Yeah.
So ding dong, doorbell rings, and you go to greet Frankie boy at the door.
Right.
But plot twist, it's actually Frank Ocean.
I would be so grateful.
And in Frank Ocean's hand is a cup of gelato. So the question is, what's the best gelato flavor combination?
Without question, pistachios involved, and I would definitely put a fruit flavor there too. So something that I get often, because I'm a weekly gelato consumer, would be pistachio and raspberry, pistachio and peach, pistachio and coconut, pistachio and lemon. You can't go wrong.
Pistachio and lemon sounds the most apt to the current season.
Right, I would say so because, citrus.
Nice.
Yeah. Pistachio's the best. You can't not enjoy it.
Yeah, I like when I think of pistachio, I think of spumoni. When I think of spumoni, I think of like childhood, eating dinner with my fam.
Right.
So,
spumoni is also incredible.
Pistachio hits.
Yeah. Gelato Paradiso in Laguna currently has a spumoni with frozen maraschino cherries in it. It's pretty good.
Wow.
It's not a classic spumoni, but it's a good spumoni.
We should try it.
Yeah.
So you end up kicking it with Frank Ocean.
Right.
You're
oh my gosh, I would be so excited to tell him
he's
how
like
grateful
singing,
I am for him
he's singing to you. You're eating
what a joy.
your gelato. And he actually has like genie-like powers, and actually not genie-like powers. He has time travel capabilities.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had both.
Right. And he transports you back to the last best thing you ate that blew your mind, which was...
It was when I was in Germany a couple of months ago with my family. We were sitting in this alleyway in some small German restaurant or some German town. And it was an Italian restaurant.
Ooh.
And it was a very basic meal in terms of description, but it was the most flavorful thing that I've eaten in a long time. It was a rosemary chicken with a tomato sauce and crispy roasted potatoes.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Sounds homey.
Absolutely homey, perfectly salted, perfectly seasoned, incredible.
I love salting food.
Yeah, it's crucial. People are afraid of salt, and they shouldn't be, because that's what makes food taste good.
I agree. I used to back in the day like never even have the awareness of salt in food, and then one day everything's switched, and I think after watching lots of cooking videos of chefs talking about the importance of salt, I find myself at restaurants all the time asking for salt because it's no longer on the table.
Yeah.
And they have to go to the back and like get a little container of salt, and I'm like salting my tacos or something.
Yeah, because it makes everything taste better. And if I feel like it's so obvious when there is the lack of it. And so that's something even in baking that I love, like finishing things with flaky salt. It's the finishing touch. It's something that makes things even better. And those potatoes were so salty and crisp in the best way. And I think salt is also a great way to highlight the natural flavors of food in a way that would make
like
you
the
enjoy.
chocolate chip cookie with salt.
Right,
accentuates the sweetness, right?
Yeah, it does, which you wouldn't think it does, but yeah, it contrasts, it highlights in a really good way that salt's just good.
Yum.
Gotta have it.
Well, after your time with Frank, you had this delicious meal. You had gelato. The magic is starting to wear off, and you slowly regain consciousness, and you're back here in these waters with me, with our audience, and you're looking at your own reflection in the water. And the last question I'll ask you is, can you reflect on a story, a moment, a memory where you either experienced stoke, synchronicity, or serendipity?
Wow. As in my recent life right now.
It could be your recent life. It could be your distant first memories of a child. Like literally anytime. Anything.
Okay, interesting. You know what? Okay, there's been a lot of good things that have happened in my life lately with work, with my own personal creative endeavors that have been so hard for me to wrap my head around, because I'm so grateful and glad that they are happening in a way that I could have never imagined. But I think one of my favorite things that have happened to me lately that has made me so grateful to be alive is I was at the beach on Saturday. I was at Shaw's Cove. It was a nice 70-degree day. It was chill. It was nice. It was sunny.
Love Shaw's Cove.
Shaw's is one of the best. It was perfect. It was just like a calm day. I was with some of my best friends, and we were just chilling, laying there, just having really good conversation. And I look up, and there's these huge, like big green bushes on the back of someone's house. And I saw a hummingbird. And every time I see a hummingbird, it makes me think of my grandma, because she has a hummingbird feeder by her window, and she gets so childishly excited when a hummingbird comes to the window.
Wow.
She will sit there, she'll stop everything, and she'll just stare at that bird eating the food that she has put into this feeder, and she gets so happy about it. And she does that with a lot of things. Like, she is someone who loves simple things like gardening. She loves hummingbirds, she loves oranges, she loves puzzles and things like that. But every time I see a hummingbird, it brings me the same amount of joy, because I just feel so connected to her. And I'm very grateful that my grandma's still around. I grew up living with her, and so I'm so close to her. She's one of my best friends, and we're 50 years apart in age. And when I'm sitting there with my friends in my life as a young adult, a 23-year-old, just doing my own thing, in a sense detached to what my childhood was, being so close to my grandma, I look up and I see these colors that I love so much.
Wow.
And I see this hummingbird, and it just made me so happy. And I texted my grandma and I told her that I saw a hummingbird, and she was like, "Oh, I was just thinking about you. I sent him for you." And it was the cutest thing, and it brought me so much joy. And that's something that has been like sitting with me a lot lately. It's just I love that I can connect with her in that way, and that something that has brought her so much happiness has started to bring me happiness in the same way.
That's like right at the cross, right where synchronicity, stoke, and serendipity meet.
Right.
Sounds like that moment.
Yeah, definitely. So simple, but so good.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, oh my gosh, Kaylee, thank you so much for coming by, for being on the show. I so appreciate you showing up, for being a creator who truly inspires me. Very stoked to talk to you. Where can the people find you?
First of all, thank you again. I'm so grateful to have this conversation. I feel super inspired, and
I'm feeling boosted.
Yeah, same. So am I.
I feel like I gotta go like run a mile and eat an orange.
I don't know if I'd run a mile, but I'd definitely eat the orange afterward. I'd be there for that. Yeah, I'm very inspired by you as well. I think that what you're doing just with this is really cool, but I also love always seeing you chase the things that are very motivating to you, and give you means to like be creative and just make these things that bring people a lot of joy. And so the fact that you see something like that in me too is like very very honoring to me, and so I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, Kaylee in the Kitchen is my Instagram. I have a website too that I started a kitchen club at, which is I just will send out a recipe and a curated playlist that goes along with the adventure of making that meal or cooking whatever it is. And that's at my website, KayleeWalters.com, which you could find at my Instagram. I post on Instagram a lot, just a lot of food things, a lot of life things, simple stuff, good stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we love it. Well, thank you so much. Maybe we'll talk to you again someday soon.
I would hope so. This has been a great time.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Later.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Kaylee. I sure did. I don't think I could have asked for a better guest, number one. She is so kind, so peaceful, so full of life, so full of joy, and had great inspirations to share. I sure feel boosted with stoke and ideas after this talk, and I hope that you are left with a little morsel of inspiration to explore on your own after the show is over, because that's what the show is all about. Hearing little ideas, absorbing them, and potentially letting those ideas bloom into your own creations. But before I end the show, I want to talk about my 3 inspirations of the week, my 3 flow points, because I got 3 of my own. So, inspo of the week number 1 is the song I Don't Want to Talk by Wallows. This is a new song to me, came out September 2021. And this song is, I think, the first single on their upcoming album that's going to come out in March. And it's a song that's so rad. It's so upbeat. It makes me feel like I'm the main character in my own film every time I'm listening to it. The tempo is perfect for running. Every time I do a lot of jogging, and every time I do, I've been throwing this song on, and it makes me feel like I'm in a running scene, and I'm running away from the bad guys, and this song's playing in the background. Um, Wallows is a super rad band. I've been watching a lot of their interviews. It's like three guys who all live and work out of LA. The song has a really big flute part of it. It's like, and it's just one of those songs that kind of like you hear it for the first time and it instantly becomes your jam. So I'll link the song in the description. I hope you check it out. I really look forward to more Wallows music. And there's also a video on Genius about the lyrics from the song, which I enjoyed hearing about the lyrics, because it's kind of like sad lyrics, but the song is so upbeat. So I feel like it's a nice contrast. It's a little unexpected because I didn't listen to the lyrics until I watched the video. So definitely check out I Don't Want to Talk by Wallows. It's a great jam. Really looking forward to their album. Maybe someday we'll even have them on the show, setting that intention into the universe. So my inspiration of the week number 2 is a creator I found on Instagram whose name is Emma Burrs. Her Instagram handle is Burrs Letters, and she is a graphic designer. And she has this super, I'll put her art on the screen, this super vibrant art style that kind of has a 90s feel, kind of like a scrapbook type of energy with a lot of texture. And I actually found her via this other YouTuber that spoke of her as a point of inspiration. So I followed her. And as I'm scrolling through her Instagram, I found this one picture that I love so much. And right now I'm in the process of designing my podcast cover for this show. And I'm looking to add a little bit of texture to it, but I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to. And her art was inspiring me to kind of add a little bit of dust into the picture to make it have more of an analog vibe. And I actually commented on her picture, and I asked her how she did this specific effect. And to my surprise, because she has a lot of followers, she immediately reached back out and explained to me how she uses these grungy overlays that she gets online, and then does this technique to make the overlay look like a gradient. And I don't know, I just got really excited when she responded to me. And her art is just super vibrant, super full of life, very original. And it's something that, it's like a new follow that every time I see one of her new pictures, I get really excited. And I look forward to all the art that she's gonna be creating in the future. She does a lot of art centered around song titles. So kind of piggybacking off my song of I Don't Want to Talk. A lot of her art just uses the name of the song and the band name and plays around with typography, different fonts, and distorts things in different ways, and just uses a lot of saturated, warm, awesome colors. So definitely check out Burrs Letters on Instagram. Would love to have her on the show as well. And my last inspiration of the week, my last flow point of the week, is avocados. Because in the United States, there was a ban on avocados this week because we get most of our avocados from Mexico, and the U.S. put a ban. So this week, avocados shot up in price. They went all the way up to $5 an avocado. And this whole political moment really inspired me to think about how avocados play a role in my world. I eat them almost every day. I put them on toast. I put them in salad. I eat them on my tamales. I eat them with a fork. I'm down for an avocado any way, any shape, any form. My favorite food is chips and guacamole. So just big shout out to the little green fruit. And this moment actually inspired me to think about my future, because I never want to live a life without avocados. So someday I really hope to have my own avocado tree, a little piece of land that I could have maybe a couple trees, let the trees do their thing, and hopefully I will always be in abundance of avocados because they make my life better. So that is my last inspiration of the week. Thank you so much for listening. Kaylee, thank you so much for coming on the show. Oh, and another avocado little quip that I just remembered is back during my time at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, I used to run past this avocado field, and it was behind a fence, and the fence said, like, you'll go to prison if you try to come in here and steal our avocados. So I guess that running kind of connects to my love for that song, I Don't Want to Talk, and how I run to that song. It's all in the flow. We're flowing. We're here. We're now. So thank you for tuning in to this episode. I so appreciate you. And I look forward to more chats with creators coming soon. Thank you. Love you. See you soon.